Ravens-Bills coming up on Sunday night. You will hear it on Westwood One, and that means you will hear the sounds of our next guest's voice. You see him every day as part of Golic and Golic on the FanDuel Network. He is Mike Golic, Sr., and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Mike, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Sure, no problem. Always great when we're talking football.
Hey, man, and this, we've been talking about this all week, Mike, because there's the conflict between, from a national standpoint, best matchup of the weekend, right? Game of the week, everything to like about it. And yet, whoever wins this game in that market, everybody's going to say, okay, cool, sure, wake me up when we get to the playoffs. Like, it's just a weird spot these two teams are in.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you saw week 4 last year, Baltimore just ran Buffalo. I mean, seriously ran all over them. And then in the playoffs, it was a different story. A close game, dropped 2-point conversion, away from a tie, and Buffalo moves on. You're right. Both these teams, it's the talk of which team will overtake Kansas City and make it to the Super Bowl, which team will live out the quarterback finally making the Super Bowl after both winning MVP. So, yeah, while it's a great week 1 matchup, we all expect them to be in the playoffs and possibly meet again there.
Mike, do you believe that it's like one of these two teams' conference to win at this point, or are we being too disrespectful of the Chiefs the way that we're sort of talking about them?
No, I think it's definitely. I mean, it would not shock me at all if Baltimore or Buffalo won it. Quite honestly, I think Denver has a guy. I picked Denver to overtake Kansas City in the division this year. With Kansas City have 9 straight division titles. They're as good, but teams are catching them. Buffalo. You talk about the offseason and bringing in players, but they re-signed a bunch of their own,
right?
Which is sometimes just as good as bringing in free agents when you keep your own. Baltimore could be rivaling Philadelphia as the best roster on paper in the league. So, I mean, both these two teams are primed to make a move to be the best team in the AFC.
Mike, is there any way in which you expect these two teams to be particularly different than what we saw last January?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they're both completely led by their quarterback.
Yeah.
The one glaring difference, I did a few Baltimore games last year and very excited to start out this year with Buffalo and Baltimore. But we know the difference of Baltimore's defense, week 1 through 10, they were pretty bad.
Yep.
And then insert new player in lineup. Back up Kyle Hamilton a little bit on the defense. I think when they weren't doing well in the first 10 weeks, he was averaged a little over 5 yards off the ball. Then they put him back. He was averaging a little 9 yards off the ball. And all of a sudden, a couple other switches, and then the number one, basically the defense, weeks 11 through 18. So I would imagine that they would be playing more towards that than the beginning of the season. But basically, these two teams know each other. There's a lot of the same personnel, and like football mostly comes down to, it comes down to one-on-one situations. Can the offensive tackle block the end? Can the guard block the D tackle, the linebacker? Can the wide receiver block the cornerback? Can the quarterback get off the block and make a play on the run? I mean, it comes down to a bunch of one-on-one situations.
Mike, one of the storylines going into this week, Mark Andrews has been asked a lot about what happened in the playoff game last year, and understandably so, right? Between not just the drop, but also the fumble earlier in the game,
Sure.
which was very out of character for him. It was a really rough night, and he has, as you would expect, he's handled it all well, and hey, it's a new year, new team, not thinking about it, all of that stuff. But I ask you, and my gut tells me Mark Andrews is so accomplished as a player that he is capable of that he can put all that beyond him. But does that have any impact on a guy when he shows back up and remembers the last time I was on this field and all of the stuff that happened that went wrong?
Every player is different. Every player handles adversity different. That's how you tell the greatness of the player, how they handle it. Nobody feels as bad for what happened last year than Mark Andrews. But you're also, probably not where you are without Mark Andrews.
Yep.
He had 11 red zone touchdowns, the most in the league. I mean, the guy was money toward the end zone. So, and nobody catches every single ball they throw to him. He knows he shouldn't have fumbled the ball. He knows He shouldn't have dropped the ball. Again, nobody knows or feels worse than him. Nobody can make him feel any worse than he felt. Do I expect him to forget about it and come back and play great? Absolutely. He's a pro's pro. I mean, he's been at the top level of that position. So there's every expectation that he puts that aside, maybe uses it as ammunition to come out and play even better. But I don't think it'll affect his play at all.
Like, is there anything from a football standpoint? Like, I know that so much of it is just what happens on that day, and to the point, right? Like, a couple of mistakes from Mark Andrews were killer in that particular game. But is there anything else big picture that you think stands between the Baltimore Ravens and making that proverbial jump and getting over the hump in the postseason and finally breaking through and winning a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson?
No, I mean, with as close as they are with Buffalo and with Kansas City, it's all about execution that day.
Yeah.
And that's something, obviously, John Harbaugh, the second most tenured coach behind Mike Tomlin in the league, is. It's just about execution. It's about the fundamentals. A lot of football, a lot of really sports, quite honestly, but we're talking football here. It's not about you winning games, but it's about who makes the mistake to lose the game. And unfortunately, for Mark, there were a couple of mistakes. Now, again, you can't put everything on those plays. There's plays during the game that affect it, but those were the last plays. So you magnify those, but that's not fair, quite honestly, because there are a number of plays that can cost you during a game. It's just they have the talent to be the best team in the league, without question. It's just executing on that day. That's the thing about playoffs. It's one and done. It's not a series like baseball or basketball. So mistakes get magnified in the playoffs. In the regular season, you usually have another week, just like Baltimore beating Buffalo in week 4.
Yep.
But then, you keep having more weeks. But when the playoff hits, man, you think you're going to go a long way, and the next thing you know, you're cleaning out your locker the next day. And that's what happened to Baltimore. It's a jarring feeling when it ends that quickly. So it's really about execution during the playoffs on that day.
Mike, it's been a long time since we've been talking about a change at kicker in Baltimore, but that's something that's going on, and that's the storyline that we're monitoring. And Buffalo, typically a tough place to kick, but normally, like when you get to the end of the year, I think I saw the weather. The weather's going to be in the 50s on Sunday, so basically like a perfect summer day in Buffalo for you guys. How long, like when you're doing something like this, when you're turning things over to a rookie kicker, what is like the grace period if he struggles? Is it something where for a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl, you can't have that long of a rope? Or when you're trying to find a franchise kicker, do you need to? Like, what does this look like? Because it's been a long time since we've had to think about it.
Boy, that's the truth. That is the truth. Listen, there's obviously, he's a rookie. Obviously, there's a growing period into it. But, I mean, when you're a team that's vying for the Super Bowl and has the talent to win a Super Bowl, you can only wait so long. You see kickers moving all the time during the season. I'm not sitting here and saying that's going to happen to this young man, but Baltimore understands that they're in a position, they're in an open window of being the best team in the league. So you have to be firing on all cylinders. And if that means a rookie kicker, then that means a rookie kicker. So you have to kind of let him grow into the position. And again, like we said, it's a long season. I don't think anybody's going to go undefeated. You're going to have losses. You can move on from them. But the bottom line is making the dance at the end of the year. So, I mean, you have room for him to grow, no doubt.
I think it'll be interesting to watch, and obviously he was very impressive in the preseason, and so I think there's every reason here in Baltimore to be excited about him. Mike, just to make sure we're talking about the other side of this, right? Like the Bills, I think a lot of people were surprised after a year ago and everything that was made about how Josh Allen had to do it all. I think there was some surprise that maybe they weren't more aggressive. They did get Josh Palmer. It's not like they didn't do anything at the playmaker positions, but they didn't go out and get a game changer. Are they asking Josh Allen still to do too much in Buffalo for them to be able to make a Super Bowl run?
Well, I mean, they're certainly putting a lot on his shoulders, just like a lot is on Lamar Jackson's shoulders. You had James Cook, who was over 1,000-yard rusher last year, averaged almost 5 yards a carry. They took care of him. You bring in Josh Palmer. You hope Keon Coleman from the Buffalo side takes another step in his growth. Khalil Shakir obviously is still the main receivers. You got 2 tight ends. You got guys that you can count on. And I think they wanted the consistency of that, knowing you're led by Josh Allen, both with his arm and, quite honestly, with his legs. So that's why I said, re-signing their own and keeping this team together, which, again, just like Baltimore has the talent to be the best team in the NFL, so does Buffalo. They absolutely do as well. We're just waiting to see which team overtakes the consistently great Kansas City Chiefs.
No doubt, right? Every time I doubt the Chiefs, I hear everything you're saying about the Broncos, by the way, Mike, and I am a Broncos believer as well, but I just can't doubt the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, I know.
Every time I do, it's like, by the way, they still have Pat Mahomes, man. Like, they just still remind us that that's not going anywhere.
No, listen, that's the truth. And they didn't have Rashee Rice didn't play a full season, obviously, and he's suspended for the first part of the season, but they didn't have him for a lot of the season last year. They didn't have Isaiah Pacheco for a lot of the season last year, and they still made it to the playoffs. They're strong, especially with Chris Jones on that line. So, yeah, it's tough to count them out. I just did the broadcaster thing of picking somebody else.
Yeah, just
and if
right.
it hits,
you look
if it
genius.
hits, I
right.
look great. If it doesn't, who remembers?
Right. 100%, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Mike, is there, besides the Broncos, is there another team in either conference that you feel like perhaps we're not talking about enough, or maybe we're too dismissive of, or maybe the other way around, that everybody's excited about, that you think that there's bigger problems there than people realize?
I'm really interested in Houston.
Okay.
Houston could literally have the best defense in the league this year. C.J. Stroud took a little bit of a step back his sophomore year. So I'm seeing and they lost some wide receivers and starting the season still have some injuries. But if they can get healthy, they got bit a little bit by the injury bug, and Stroud didn't have the season he had as a rookie, but their defense is absolutely lights out. So I kind of like what they're doing. As far as a surprise team maybe to make the playoffs, I don't know how far they would go. I look at the Colts.
Wow.
Okay. I think they have some talent on that team. Obviously, the quarterback position is a big question mark, but they're not in a great division, quite honestly, outside of Houston. Though we'll see what Jacksonville does with Travis Hunter and how they use him. In the NFC, I think Green Bay, and I said Green Bay even before Micah Parsons got on that team. Now we'll have to see how his back is, but Jeff Hafley, the new D coordinator, really turned that defense around last year. I think the offense is in. They have a bevy of wide receivers, including now a first rounder in Golden, who could be a deep threat for him. So I maybe look for them to overtake that division, because we have to see how Detroit handles losing both coordinators, trying to fix their defense a little bit. You are getting Aiden Hutchinson back, which is good. But I kind of like the growth of the Packers.
He is Mike Golic, and you will hear him on Westwood One Sunday night as the Ravens take on the Buffalo Bills. Of course, every afternoon, FanDuel Network for Golic and Golic. Mike, is there anything else we can plug for you, my friend?
No. That's good. I'm just trying to stay busy, trying to stay in the sports world.
It is a good time, right? Like, this is the time of year that we all live for. Other than, I know I'm sure you're still struggling with what happened in Catholics versus convicts the other night. I'm sure that one's still a bit difficult.
I thought we were going to make it through the whole interview without you bringing that up, but you had to bring that up. Yeah, that was a tough loss. Though I'll say all 3 top 10 matchups, all the losers, Texas, Clemson, and Notre Dame, all stayed in the top 10.
Yeah.
They were all close games, so they could be where they want to be at the end of the year.
And the winners were all of us that got these awesome first week of the season matchups. I mean, this was tremendous for everybody. Mike, thank you as always for taking the time for us, man. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the trip on Sunday.
All right, thanks.